Hello, everybody, and welcome. We're at the Black Sea Security Forum, and I'm now joined by Wladimir Klitschko. Wladimir, great to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I just want to say, Vladimir, not Vitaly. We talked before, and you said you didn't treat my brother, so it's the other one. Vladimir, thank you.
Yes, yes. Now, before we talk a little bit about politics, I want to ask you, of course, about sport. You're a famous boxer, along with your brother. What role does sport play in a time of war? How important is it for Ukrainians?
It is very important, as, for example, sometimes it's said that sport and politics are not going together. It is, always was, is, and will in the same way that sport will be a political tool. We can see how Russia is using sport for propaganda. We can see that excluding Belarusian, ally of Russia, and Russia excluding from the sporting events is extremely important. That Russian anthem and Russian flag is not going to be raised and Russian anthem is not going to be played because these two countries, as well as Belarus, these two countries, allies against so-called free world. These two countries been destroying Ukraine as allies since 2022 full-scale war in Ukraine, and since 2014 with Russian annexation of the east of the country with Lugansk and Donetsk, as well as Peninsula Crimea. But also sport can play a positive role where you can stand for something and you can expose it to the world because the world is watching. You have the fans. You have someone who is seeing and listening to the athletes or following the sports. And politics were always part of our life, not just the sporting life, of our society. We're living in a country where politicians making the bed where we sleep, so to speak. We live either in democracy or in dictatorship. And who does it? Politics. So politicians in every country making the life in the country and the society polarized for good or polarized for evil. So we see it in Russia, that big Russia being polarized with so much negativity under dictatorship of Putin to become Putin's Russia as Germany was Hitler's Germany one day. So it is obviously going together, and it is important to take care of the politics. If you don't pay attention to the politicians and politics and you're not voting, but you let someone else vote for you, then politics will take care of you, and that's not going to be good.
Indeed, and of course it's been very turbulent in this sphere. But I'd like to go back and ask you more of a personal question. You and your brother were on the world stage in the sport, in the world of boxing, in the world of sport. I mean, you very much put Ukraine on the map as a hero, as a winner. How do you see that legacy in your country, amongst Ukrainians? And how does that project the energy outwards to the rest of the world?
I'm happy, of matter of fact, that we're just not the athletes in Ukraine. We have a lot of athletes that have achieved unbelievable records and representing the country, and the flag is going to be exposed to the public, and the anthem is going to be played and sung, and we're just very talented nation. not just in boxing, as Vitaly and I did, but in other different sports. So we have traditions in all different sports that been for decades or a century in our country, and now we see the fruits of it, and this is success of the athletes. Just to think, to go back in the history, 1996, the first Olympic Games where Ukraine took part of as independent country. We got into top 10 with the amount of medals, gold, silver, and bronze. Being in top 10, I think we got 9th place, if I'm not wrong. But being in top 10 of the countries as the new nation, they just was shaped and became independent by giving up all the heavy nukes that we had and rockets and planes that today bombarding us, erasing our cities, the weapons that we gave up to Russia, destroying us today. So I just want to say that with all the traditions and with all the athletes that we have, and also with the history that as an independent country, how it all turned for independence and prosperity and democracy. By giving up the tools, we got already partially destroyed with those tools and whatever we were believing in. But what's still remaining is our desire and will to prevail, to fight and defend, because we strongly believe that we are in this fight to defend our country with the belief that we will eventually defend our country. It doesn't matter how difficult that is, but I know, coming back to the athletic background, I know one thing, that endurance beats masterpiece and talent in every sport, in boxing, in other sports as well, and it does help in the politics, and it helps also on the front line, as we've been showing it since 2014 and since 2022. As you remember, probably, we were counted out in 3 days, and that didn't happen. We were thinking we're going to be out of the game in 3 days, but we chose to resist and we chose to fight. And that's a very high price that we Ukrainians pay with our blood for our own protection of the democracy that we chose since 2014, stand for, but we're also doing for you guys, for the free world, so-called free world. But it cannot be paid only with Ukrainian blood. So we need to stand together. We need to be as long-term, strong, reliable allies, because without you guys, we'll continue with our endurance that we have for too long. But together, we definitely will show and stop and prevent the next war that possibly could happen again somewhere on our continent. It is extremely important to understand, if we fail, you guys are going to be next. Whoever you means. Baltic countries, Poland, Germany, Bulgaria, or any other European country.
That's right, and I think we recognize that. And speaking of endurance, we saw just a week ago the bombs rained down on Kyiv while Alexander Usyk won another major boxing match. Does that help Ukrainians with their endurance to tolerate the freezing cold winters that we saw last year, the strikes on the energy infrastructure, the hit on the life that everybody has taken here in Ukraine over the past, now we're into the 5th year since the full-scale invasion. I know much longer since Crimea. Do victories like that help Ukrainians, do you think?
Everything helps. Everything. Even little tiny things help. Everything. Mm-hmm. Everything. And sometimes it's like, okay, another day of war, we're going to give you support, we're giving you support, we're providing you support. How much of the support you need, Ukraine, basically being asked, like how much is needed? Because it's like endless process, because war is expensive.
It is.
It's not just the equipment,
Yeah.
but thinking of the athletes, and more shocking, it's not just the victory that of course supports, but more shocking the opposite. That just a couple of days ago you have a competition, gymnastic competition, and you can see Belarusian and Russian athletes exposing their flags, and their anthems is played like nothing happened, while our gymnasts lost their limbs and competing with prosthetic legs, and this is not okay. So I would say everything helps, but I think we also need to pay attention that it shouldn't happen while one country, a nation, destroys and erases and call it fake as a nation, the other country. That cannot happen. That shouldn't happen. The evil must be stopped. And without just any questions, but with the clear and extremely hard consequences for the aggressor. Unfortunately, we don't see it. After 5 years of full-scale war, we still don't see it, and we see again that athletes are getting exposed for the public and with the country and flags that are representing. Speaking of Belarus and Russia.
Yep, absolutely. One final question before we finish up here. Brief question. Could you share your opinion on which direction you think this war is headed? Do you think we're still very far away from the end?
Trust me, we are so far in being more effective like no one else. We live in a war every day for the past 5 years and since 2014 with annexation of Crimea and Lugansk and Donetsk in east of the country. We're so efficient, and we have learned our enemy, and we have learned how to use new tools. And modern warfare is unstoppable. And you can see that any other war that was started with the old technology, without modern warfare, is going to have a fiasco. So we've learned, we have this knowledge, we're happy to share with our allies to save the lives and equipment and countries and prevail democracy. So we have learned how to fight, and we're happy to share with our allies only.
Well, I thank you for that, and on behalf of Poland and beyond, I believe everybody is very appreciative to the sacrifice that Ukraine is making at the moment, and of course I wish a speedy recovery or return to normalcy in the country. Wladimir Klitschko, thank you so much for sitting down and talking
Dziękuję
with us.
dziękuję bardzo. I have to say, in addition, since 2014, I cannot forget about it. Polish people and Poland as a country been always supportive of Ukraine on different stages, and that cannot be forgotten since 2014. And I know there are like certain complications in regards to our mutual history, but come on, we're modern nations, and we're neighbors, and we've been very close with each other, with our history, negative, but mostly positive.
Yes.
And I just wish that we will clear it up, and I wish that we will just build our home, Europe, together, shoulder to shoulder, as we're fighting against the evil at our home, during the war at our home. Thank you for your support. Dziękuję bardzo.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Vitaly Klitschko.
Vladimir Klitschko. I told you.
Vladimir Klitschko.
It's okay, I got used to it.
It's because you told me that it got mixed up. Vladimir Klitschko, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us. Very much appreciated.